Have you always wanted to build a zombie commander deck? I brewed one of the strongest and most synergistic zombie decks you'll ever see. And it only costs 150 euro. No combos, no tutors, just pure zombie value. Let me introduce you to Temmet, Naktamun's Will. For 5 mana, we get a 4/4 Vigilance Menace body, which is already a really solid stat line. But what makes Temmet really shine is his incredible synergy with card draw and zombies. Whenever we attack, it doesn't even have to be Temmet attacking, we get to loot, meaning we get to draw a card and then discard a card. Looting itself is already really awesome. It really helps us shape our hand and fill our graveyard with value pieces, cards we actually want to have in the graveyard. Temmet really takes it to the next level. Whenever we draw a card, all our zombies will get +1/1 until the end of turn. This ability will trigger from any card we draw. This includes the first card we draw in our turn during our draw step, the card we draw from Temmet's looting ability, and any additional draw effects we play during that turn. Just imagine having Temmet and 5 additional zombies on the field. Then for the low cost of just 1 mana, we can play a Brainstorm, for example. We will draw 3 cards and all our zombies will get +3/3 until the end of turn. Just for playing a Brainstorm, a card that's already really good without Temmet on the field. Since Temmet is in Esper colors, we have access to really good cards. Black really allows us to play the best zombies ever printed in Magic and gives us access to really great removal. White also has a ton of good zombies and gives us access to really good support cards and more removal. And blue, doing what blue does best, allows us to draw a ton of cards to actually buff our zombies with. The deck is built on a 150 euro budget and it is a bracket 2 deck, meaning we don't play any infinite combos or any tutors. Making this into a deck you can perfectly play with your friends who play at a lower power level. That being said, you can also play this deck versus stronger decks. It's actually really strong for a budget deck. So, an affordable, fun, strong tribal deck. Let's break it down. So as per usual, I will be going over every single card I decided to include in the deck and explaining why I decided to include it. The video is divided up in 7 categories. Token generators, the zombie lords and anthem effects, the value zombies, the acceleration, card advantage, interaction, and the lands. Let's get started with the token generators, since we will need a lot of zombie bodies to buff up with Temmet and our other zombie lords. Dreadhorde Invasion. This enchantment will check if we already have a zombie army creature token. If we don't, it will create a 0/0 zombie army token and we get to put a +1/+1 counter on it. If we do already control a zombie army token, we get to put a +1/+1 counter on it. This enchantment just ensures we will always have a zombie on the board. Even after someone plays a board wipe, we just get a zombie token for free in our next upkeep. Over time, you will also end up with a really big zombie army. It also has the bonus ability: whenever a zombie token we control with power 6 or greater attacks, it will gain lifelink until the end of turn. In this deck, it will be really easy to get our zombie tokens to 6 or more power, and the lifelink is just a nice added benefit. Tainted Adversary, a 2 mana 2/3 body with Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield, we get the option to pay 3 mana any number of times. When we do, Tainted Adversary will enter the battlefield with that many +1/+1 counters. On top of that, for every time we paid this additional cost, we also get to generate 2 2/2 zombie tokens with Decayed. This card is both fantastic early in the game and late in the game. Early is just a 2/3 Death Touch zombie body, which is pretty good to block some things with. And later in the game, when we have access to a ton of mana, this card is a fantastic token generator. His body will be bigger and he will enter with a ton of zombie tokens. Wizened Mentor, an awesome Aether Drift zombie support card. Whenever an opponent activates an activated ability of a permanent they control, we get to create a 1/1 zombie token. This ability only triggers once per turn. This card is a real sleeper. You'd be surprised how many activated abilities actually get used in a game of Commander. If you manage to drop this dude on turn 2 and he actually sticks to the board, the amount of tokens he will generate is just insane. Trust me. Curse of the Restless Dead. It's a 3 mana enchantment that you can attach to any player. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under that player's control, you get to create a 2/2 zombie token with Decayed. There's one thing in any game of Magic that's always going to be a guarantee. Players will be playing lands. You can decide to attach this attachment to yourself, just generating you a zombie token whenever you play a land. Or if there is a landfall player in your pot or a deck that ramps really aggressively, just attach this enchantment to them and you will end up with a ton of zombie tokens. Landfall players really don't like this card. Diregraph Colossus. For 3 mana, we get a creature that enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter for each zombie in our graveyard. Since we do play a ton of discard and loot cards, this creature will always have a huge body for just 3 mana. Additionally, whenever we cast a zombie spell, we get to create a 2/2 tapped zombie token, just growing our board even more. Renewed Solidarity. When this enchantment enters the battlefield, we get to choose a creature type. All creatures we control of the chosen type will get +1 power. I suppose it's a nice little power boost for our zombies, but the real reason why we play this card is, at the beginning of our end step, for each creature token of the chosen type that entered the battlefield under our control, we get to create an additional token copy of it. Basically, doubling up all the zombies we created in a turn. Fantastic card. Necro Duality, a 4 mana enchantment that says whenever a non-token zombie enters the battlefield under our control, we get to create a creature token copy of it. What can I say? This card just doubles the value on any non-legendary zombie creature we play in this deck. This is just fantastic with all of the zombie lords we play, since almost none of them are legendary. You will see those in the next section. Wilheld the Rod Cleaver, probably the strongest zombie card ever printed. Whenever another zombie we control dies, if it didn't have Decayed, we get to create a 2/2 zombie token with Decayed. The fact that his ability doesn't say non-token makes it absolutely insane. As you can imagine, with all of the token generators you just saw, we will always have a ton of 2/2 zombie tokens on the battlefield. With Wilheld, whenever they die, we get to create that many 2/2 zombies with Decayed. You have 10 zombie tokens, someone plays a board wipe, we have Wilheld on the field, we will get 10 new zombies. Fantastic. He even has another ability. At the beginning of our end step, we can choose to sacrifice a zombie and then we get to draw a card. If we sacrifice a zombie without Decayed, we also get to create a 2/2 zombie with Decayed. Wilheld is just one of the best zombie cards ever. Ghoul Caller Gisa. Karenko, but for zombies. For 1 black mana and tapping her, we can sacrifice a creature. When we do, we get to create X 2/2 zombie tokens, where X is the sacrifice creature's power. With all the zombie lords we play and with Temmet on the field and drawing cards, our zombies will always have a really high power. Just swing with them in combat in your second main phase, activate Ghoul Caller Giza, sacrifice one of them and you will generate a ton of additional zombie tokens. Oketra. For 5 mana, we get a zombie god. Oketra herself already has double strike and 3/6 body, which is a really solid stat line. Whenever we cast a creature spell, we get a 4/4 zombie token with vigilance. These zombie bodies are really big and really easy to generate, since we will be casting a ton of zombies throughout the game. If our opponents do manage to remove Oketra, instead of putting her into exile or in our graveyard, we can put it on top of our library, third from top. So if you just want to cast her again, put her into your library and you will draw her again in a couple of turns, starting the nightmare all over again. Last token generator in the deck, a true classic card, Grave Titan. For 6 mana, we get a 6/6 Death Touch body, and whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, we get to generate 2 2/2 zombie tokens. It's a big body, it enters with zombie tokens, it creates zombie tokens when you attack. It's just a really good card in this deck. Now that you saw how we will generate a ton of zombie tokens, let's get into the zombie lords and anthem effects, since we do need ways to power up the army of zombies we have just created. Blade Stitched Scab. Really simple, 2 mana, 2/3 body, all our zombies will get +1 power. Cemetery Reaper gives all of our zombies +1/1. Has the bonus ability for 3 mana, and tapping him, we can exile a creature card from our graveyard and we will generate a 2/2 zombie token. So both the Lord and can grant us additional zombie tokens. Fantastic. Death Baron. He gives all of our skeletons and zombies +1/1 and Death Touch. Giving all your zombies Death Touch means your opponents will have to think twice about blocking your Death Touch zombie tokens. You probably won't get attacked either, since you can just throw a Death Touch zombie in front of the attacking creature and you will always win in combat. Diregraph Captain. It's a 3 mana zombie with Death Touch and he boosts the power and toughness of all our other zombies by 1. Additionally, whenever another zombie we control dies, each opponent will lose 1 life. Both serves as a lord and an awesome win condition. In any game we will be swinging with our zombies, losing them in combat, we will be sacrificing our zombies, people will play board wipes, zombies will always be dying. Over the course of a game, this dude will end up with a lot of triggers and drain the entire table at once. Probably one of my favorite lords in the deck. Gleaming Overseer. Whenever it enters the battlefield, we get to amass 1. So we get to create a zombie army token or put a +1/+1 counter on our existing zombie army. He doesn't boost the stats of any of our zombie tokens, but he does give them hexproof and menace. The hexproof is not really that relevant since people won't be single targeting your zombie tokens, but the menace is really insane. Menace is really underrated in token decks in my opinion. If you just swing with 5 tokens, people will need 10 blockers to actually block all of them. Menace just turns combat into a nightmare for your opponents, honestly. Now that we're talking about Menace, Lord of the Accursed. Another zombie lord that boosts the power and toughness of all of our other zombies. For 2 mana and tapping it, all our zombies will gain Menace until the end of turn. Once again, this will turn combat into a nightmare for your opponents. Lord of the Undead. I suppose since we are a zombie deck, we do have to play some graveyard recursion. He will give all our zombies +1/1 for 2 mana, and tapping him, we can return a zombie creature card from our graveyard to our hand. We play a ton of looting effects, a ton of self-discard effects, and if we manage to discard a big creature we actually need, we can just use Lord of the Undead to return it to our hand. Fantastic. Zombie Master. You have to admit, they got pretty creative with the name for this zombie lord. Yeah. No. He gives all our zombies Swamp Walk, meaning whenever we attack and the defending player controls a swamp, they can't block our zombies. Against black players, this card is a win con, just giving all your zombies unblockable. Honestly, the first ability is already good enough to include this card in the deck, but he has a second ability. He gives all zombies who we control an additional ability. For 1 black mana, we get to regenerate this creature. I really don't think I have to explain how good this is. Someone destroys your commander, 1 mana, regenerate. Someone plays a board wipe, you would lose 5 zombies, 5 mana, regenerate them. You decide to swing into an opponent, they block your zombies, they would normally die, 1 mana per zombie, and you get to regenerate them. Lost Monarch of Ifnir, one of the newer zombie lords we got in Aether Drift. He himself has the ability Afflict 3, meaning whenever this creature becomes blocked, the defending player will lose 3 life. He also gives this fantastic ability to all other zombies we control. Afflict is a really broken mechanic in a token deck. If you swing with 10 zombies and people just have tokens to block with it, normally nothing would happen. But when they do decide to block with this on the field, they will lose 3 life per zombie they decide to block. 3 life is a really big amount, especially with the amount of zombies we are able to generate. At the beginning of our second main phase, if a player was dealt combat damage by a zombie this turn, we get to mill 3 cards and then return a creature from our graveyard to our hand. Another fantastic recursion ability. With this on the field, you will always get combat damage through with your zombie tokens, since people are not likely to block them since they will lose 3 life when they decide to do so. On Wings of Gold, another fantastic zombie support card we got in Aether Drift. This 4 mana enchantment will give any creature token we control or any zombie +1/1 and flying. Every opponent's worst nightmare, an army of flying buffed zombies. Since we do have this many zombies, if we do grant them flying, people will almost never have enough flyers to block every single one of them. It has a bonus ability. Whenever 1 or more cards leave our graveyard, we get to create a 1/1 zombie token, which will be boosted to a 2/2 flyer with this on the field. We do play some cards that exile cards from our own graveyard, so we do have some ways to trigger this token generation. The value on this enchantment is just insane. If you play a zombie deck, you are in white and you rely on zombie tokens, this card is an auto-inclusion. Undead War Chief, the last lord in the deck, but probably one of the better ones. For 4 mana, we get a 1/1 zombie body that reduces the cost of any zombie we play by 1 generic mana. We will be playing a ton of zombies, so the cost reduction will be really good. He also gives all our zombies +2 power and +1 toughness. He doesn't say other zombies, so baseline his body will always be a 3/2 instead of a 1/1. Both the cost reduction ability and the boost to our zombies' power and toughness make this lord totally worth the 4 mana. If you really like this type of content, I upload a new in-depth deck tech every week. So hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notification icon so you do get notified when I upload new videos. So now that we went over the token generators and the zombie lords we play in this deck, we do play a ton of value zombies. These are just zombies with fantastic abilities. Let's check it out. Gravecrawler, a zombie every single Magic player knows. For 1 mana, we get a 2/1 zombie that can't block. Pretty mediocre, I know, but the second ability on Gravecrawler is absolutely insane. As long as we control a zombie, we can cast Gravecrawler from our graveyard. You can always be sacrificing or swinging with Gravecrawler. because whenever it dies, you can just recast it again for 1 mana. We will always control a zombie in this deck. We have a lot of cards in the deck that trigger whenever we cast a zombie, and Gravecrawler is just perfect for this. Corpse Knight. Whenever another creature we control enters, each opponent will lose 1 life and we will gain 1 life. As you just saw, a ton of creatures will be entering the battlefield under our control. Corpse Knight is just a fantastic win condition. When we have Corpse Knight and Gisa on the field, just imagine tapping Gisa, creating 10 zombie tokens, each opponent will lose 10 life and we will gain 10 life. Insane value for a 2-drop. Shepherd of Rot, the newest addition to the deck. Honestly, I have no idea how good this card is, I still have to test it out. For 2 mana we get a 1/1 zombie cleric. It has the ability that we can tap him and each player will lose life equal to the amount of zombies in play. Problem with this card is we will also lose that much life. It's just the same for every player in the game, not only opponents. This kind of ability in this specific deck on just a 2-draw body is absolutely insane. That being said, I'm not quite sure how it will work out in playtesting since we will also lose a big amount of life. Wayward Servant. Basically the same card as Corpse Knight, but this time it only works for zombies. Whenever a zombie enters the battlefield under our control, each opponent will lose 1 life and we will gain 1 life. This card just functions as a second copy of Corpse Knight, since we only play zombies anyways. Zul Ashur. It's a 2-mana zombie with ward, meaning if an opponent wants to target this, they have to pay 2 life to do so. Really simple card, we can tap it and until the end of turn we can cast target zombie creature from our graveyard. Fantastic recursion piece, since we will always have zombies in our graveyard, be it due to them dying in combat or us looting cards and discarding zombies. Plague Belcher. 3 mana, 5/4 body with menace. As you can imagine, this card has a downside, since 3 mana for a 5/4 menace body is just too good to be true. Whenever it enters the battlefield, we have to put 2 -1/-1 counters on any creature we control. Honestly, it's not really a downside, since we can just sacrifice a zombie token or just put the -2/-2 counters on this creature itself. We don't really care about how huge his body is. It's all about the last ability. Whenever another zombie we control dies, each opponent will lose 1 life. Another fantastic win con that drains the entire table at once. Cleaver's Cap, one of the more unique zombie cards in the deck. For 3 mana and tapping it, we get to sacrifice a zombie and then we will get 2 token copies of it. Main way we will be using it is just sacrificing our zombie lords and getting 2 zombie lords in return instead. Sadly, this doesn't work on Temmet since it is a legendary creature and the legend rule does apply. So you will get 2 Temmets, but you only get to keep 1. Varina, Lich Queen. This was my original commander for this zombie deck, but I decided to go with Temmet instead. That being said, Varina is probably the best card in the deck because she has such a great synergy with Temmet. Whenever you attack with 1 or more zombies, you get to draw that many cards and then discard that many cards. Imagine having both Temmet and this on the field. If you swing with 5 zombies, we just get to draw 1 card of Temmet, then 5 cards of Varina, and you will just grant all your zombies a 6/6 power boost. Absolutely insane. For 2 mana, we can exile 2 cards from our graveyard and we get to generate a 2/2 tapped zombie token. If for some reason you just really don't like Temmet, you can also play Varina as your backup commander. Vengeful Death, another awesome zombie that drains the entire table at once. Whenever a zombie is put into our graveyard from play, each opponent will lose 1 life. In this deck, with sacrificing zombies, being in combat with zombies, or just playing versus board wipes, you will get a ton of triggers out of this card. Fantastic. And he even triggers himself when he dies. Gary, probably the most played zombie in non-zombie decks, just because of his awesome and game-ending ETB ability. Whenever Gary enters the battlefield, each opponent will lose X life, where X is our devotion to black. Devotion means the amount of mana pips in black you control on the board whenever this enters the battlefield. He himself has 2 devotion, so whenever you play this baseline, each opponent will lose 2 life and you will gain 6 life. We do play a ton of permanents, almost all of them have black pips in their mana cost, and this can just really function as a game ender or gain you an absurd amount of life. Gary is just a fantastic card. In any deck, not just a zombie deck. Noxious Ghoul, a one-sided board wipe on a zombie body. Whenever Noxious Ghoul or another zombie enters the battlefield under our control, all non-zombie creatures will get -1/-1 until the end of turn. This card is absolutely crazy. You can just play him, everything will already get -1/-1, so this kills almost all mana dorks. When we are able to generate additional zombies, this can just wipe the board of your opponents. Even the biggest creatures will be removed, since it's really easy for us to generate a huge amount of zombies in one turn. Auto-include in any zombie creature-based deck. Ravenous Rotbelly. This 5 mana creature allows us to sacrifice up to 3 zombies whenever it enters the battlefield. If we sacrifice 1 or more zombies, each opponent will also have to sacrifice that many creatures they control. Our zombies function as disposable resources anyways, so whenever this enters, we can just sacrifice 3 zombie tokens, and each opponent will also have to sacrifice 3 of their own creatures. Fantastic value, especially if you play against Voltron players who only buff up 1 creature and give it hexproof. Sacrifice goes through hexproof and indestructibility effects. Last card in this section, the Scarab God. For 5 mana, we get a 5/5 body with an awesome passive ability just made for a zombie deck. At the beginning of our upkeep, each opponent will lose X life, X being the amount of zombies we control. As you can imagine, beginning of your upkeep, everyone will take a huge hit. We also get to scry X, X also being the amount of zombies we control. This really shapes up your next draws. You can just scry to the bottom whatever you don't need and put the perfect card you need on top, since usually you will be scrying somewhere between 5 or 15. For 4 mana, it has an activated ability that allows us to exile a creature card from any graveyard. Then we get to create a 4/4 zombie token that's a copy of that card. It will retain all of the abilities. So if someone has an awesome creature in their graveyard with an awesome ability, you will just get a zombie with that ability. Fantastic. If your opponents manage to remove the Scarab God, it just gets returned to our hand at the beginning of the next end step. This card is really hard to deal with. Since Temmet is a 5 mana commander, we play Acceleration in this deck to get him out as soon as possible and start generating value. Sol Ring, Arcane Signet, Talisman of Dominance, Bontu's Monument. This 3 mana artifact makes all our black creature spells cost 1 generic mana less. As you just saw, most zombies in this deck are black and this just reduces their cost by 1. Whenever we cast a creature spell, each opponent will lose 1 life and we will gain 1 life. This is just a fantastic acceleration piece that also drains the entire table at once. Perfect fit for the deck. Patchwork Banner. As this card enters the battlefield, we have to choose a creature type. Creatures of the chosen type will get +1/+1. And we can tap this card to add 1 mana of any color to our mana pool. It's basically a 3 mana rock that also boosts the power and toughness of our zombies. Fantastic. And last card in the acceleration section is Warren Soul Trader. We can pay 1 life and sacrifice a creature and we get to generate a treasure token. As you can imagine, in this deck, our zombies are disposable resources and Warren Soul Trader just turns every single zombie we have into a treasure token. The amounts of treasures you can generate with this creature are absolutely insane. We also have cards that trigger when a zombie is put into our graveyard and we can just do it at instant speed with Warren Soul Trader's ability. And this creature is also a zombie itself. Next up is a card advantage section. Since our commander boosts the power and toughness of our zombies for each card we drew this turn, we play a ton of card draw. Check it out. Brainstorm. 1 mana spell, on instant speed we get to draw 3 cards. Also boosting the power and toughness of our zombies by 3 when Temmet is on the field. Insane value. You must play this card in a Temmet deck. Threadbreaker. It's a 1 mana zombie with an activated ability. For 2 mana, we can tap him. We get to discard a card and create a 2/2 zombie token. We can also tap 3 untapped zombies we control. We will lose 1 life and get to draw a card. This card is just a value monster. For just 1 mana, this zombie is an absolute value monster. Create zombie tokens, allows us to discard the cards we want and generates us card advantage. Military Intelligence. For 2 mana, we get an enchantment that will draw us a card whenever we attack with 2 or more creatures. As you can imagine, in this type of deck, we will always be swinging. This enchantment triggers whenever we declare attackers, so when we draw a card with Temmet on the field, this will draw us an additional card and boost our zombies with an additional +1/+1. Red Tomb Mystic. It's a 2/1 flying zombie creature and gives every creature card in our hand cycling 2. This means every creature card in our hand will have the ability for 2 mana that we can discard it to draw a new card. Cycling can be used on instant speed, which is awesome with Temmet. When we have Temmet on the field and attack with a ton of zombies, people will declare their blockers or don't block your zombies. Just on instant speed we can start cycling creatures in our hand, and Temmet will boost the power and toughness of all our zombies. With this card you can really surprise your opponents with a ton of damage. Undead Augur. It's a really simple 2-drop. Whenever this creature or another zombie we control dies, we lose 1 life and we get to draw a card. It's a really awesome ability, but you do have to be careful. If you have this card and 10 other zombies on the field and someone plays a board wipe, you will lose 11 life and draw 11 cards. Since this ability is not a melee trigger, you must do this when this or another zombie dies. So be warned. Black Market Connections, a very well-known card that's played in a ton of decks that play black. At the beginning of our first main phase, we get to choose 1 or more of 3 fantastic options. For the price of 1 life, we can create a treasure token. For the price of 2 life, we get to draw a card. For the price of 3 life, we get to create a 3/2 changeling token. It being a changeling means that it is also a zombie. What makes this card truly strong is that you can also pick any combination of these options, and you can even choose to pick all 3 of them. So as long as you have the life to pay for it, in your first main phase you will get a treasure token, get to draw a card, and you get to create a 3/2 zombie token. Insane value card. Frantic Search, probably one of the most efficient card draw spells ever printed. On instant speed we get to draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards, and we get to untap 3 lands. This means the spell is absolutely free. You can just tap 3 lands, pay for the mana cost, and this spell lets you untap them again. Remember, with Temmet on the field, every card we draw in that turn means a power boost to our zombies. Midnight Reaper. It's a zombie body that allows us to draw a card at the cost of 1 life whenever a non-token creature we control dies. Perfect way to draw a ton of cards. Once again, be warned, this card will trigger. It's not a melee trigger. So if someone plays a board wipe and you have this on the field and a ton of other creatures, you will be forced to lose a ton of life and draw a ton of cards. Classic card, Fraction Arena. 3 mana enchantment. At the beginning of our upkeep, we lose 1 life and draw a card. It's just another fantastic card that draws us cards at the cost of life and will boost the power and toughness of our zombies when we have Temmet on the field. Distant Melody. For 4 mana, whenever we cast a spell, we get to choose a creature type. Then we draw 1 card per creature of the chosen type we control. Obviously, we'll be choosing zombies. This card will both draw you a ton of cards and will close out games. If you have 5 zombies on the board and Temmet, you cast this card, you will draw 6 cards and all your zombies will also get +6/6. Absolutely ridiculous. Forgotten Creation. A 4 mana 3/3 zombie with Skulk. Skulk means this creature can be blocked by creatures that have a greater power. His ability is just fantastic with Temmet. At the beginning of our upkeep, we can choose to discard our hand and then draw that many cards. Imagine you have 5 cards in your hand, this and Temmet on the field. You just trigger his ability, discard 5 cards, all zombies will get +5/5 and you just get 5 new cards. Really explosive combination with Temmet and an army of zombies. Graveborn Muse. Honestly, I am on the verge of cutting this card since I already lost 3 games because I played this card. At the beginning of our upkeep, it checks how many zombies we control. Then we lose that much life and draw that many cards. It's a double-sided coin really. As long as you have enough life, this card can sometimes draw you 5, 10 cards at the beginning of your upkeep, and with Temmet on the field, your zombies will be boosted to an insane amount. That being said, if you don't have the life and you are under a lot of pressure, you will also draw the cards and lose that many life, making Graveborn Muse into a threat for yourself. A week ago, I was playing this deck. I was at 30 life and decided to play Graveborn Muse. I was just controlling 5 zombies at the time, so it would cost me 6 life to draw 6 cards. Fine, right? My opponents noticed this and they just decided to attack me. When it was my turn again, I was at 5 life, Graveborn Muse triggered, I lost 6 life and lost the game. High risk, high reward. Kindred Discovery, probably one of the best card advantage cards ever printed for tribal decks. As it enters the battlefield, we have to choose a creature type. Zombies. Whenever a creature of the chosen type enters the battlefield under our control or attacks, we get to draw a card. With Temmet on the field, this is absolutely insane. Just imagine you have 5 zombies and Temmet on the field. First main phase, you just play 2 zombies, which is something you'll usually do in this deck, drawing you 2 cards, already boosting your zombies by +2/+2. Then we decide to attack with all 6 creatures that don't have summoning sickness. Temmet will trigger, draws a card, boost our zombies by +1/+1. Then we get 6 triggers of discard because we attack with 6 zombies. Temmet will boost our zombies by an additional +6/6 and we will draw 6 cards. The value on this in this type of deck is just insane. And the last card in the card advantage section is Prophet of the Scab. It's a 5 mana 3/4 vigilance body. Whenever it enters the battlefield, it checks how many zombies we control and how many zombies we have in the graveyard. Then we get to draw cards equal to whichever number is the greatest. This dude will just draw you a ton of cards. Later in the game, when you have a ton of zombies in your graveyard, it will just use that number, which is usually 5 to 10 zombies. Or when you are ahead and have a really good board state, it will just draw you a card for each zombie you control. If you already control a ton of zombies, you have Temmet on the field, you play this, all your zombies will be boosted by a huge amount and you will draw a huge amount of cards. Next up, we have the interaction section. We are a tribal deck, but since we are in Esper colors, we have access to the best interaction in Magic. An offer you can't refuse. It's a 1 mana counter spell that counters any non-creature spell. Its owner will create 2 treasures in return. Just 1 mana and giving an opponent 2 treasures is really worth it to counter a game-ending spell. Really efficient card. Swords to Plowshares. 1 mana, instant speed, we get to exile any creature and its controller will just gain life equal to its power. The life is irrelevant. One of the most efficient spells ever printed in Magic. Anguished Unmaking. 3 mana, 3 life, and we get to exile any non-land permanent. Murderous Rider. This is both an interaction spell and a zombie creature. For 3 mana, we can cast the adventure version of this, Swift End. We get to destroy a creature or a planeswalker on instant speed and we lose 2 life. Solid removal spell. If we cast Swift End, this card gets exiled and we can just cast it from exile as a creature, which is a 2/3 lifelink zombie. Whenever it dies, we get to put it on the bottom of our library. So both functions as a removal spell and a zombie we can just cast later. You find the Villain's Lair. It functions as a 3 mana counter spell that just counters anything, or we can also cast it to draw 2 cards and then discard 2 cards. Both options on this spell are fantastic. We can just use it as a counter spell, which is always awesome to have. When we have Temmet on the field and we are swinging with zombies, we can just loot 2 to boost the power and toughness of all our zombies. Cards that have versatility are always awesome. Crippling Fear. When we cast this, we get to choose a creature type. Every creature that's not the chosen type will get -3/-3 until the end of turn. In this deck, this just functions as a one-sided board wipe. We only play zombies anyways and they will always survive this effect, since we will always be naming zombies. -3 toughness is enough to destroy most modern commanders and most value creatures. Deny the Witch, a really fun inclusion in my opinion, and this card will really catch people off guard. For 4 mana, we get a spell that counters target spell, activated or triggered ability. People never see it coming when you play a card that actually counters triggered or activated ability, so might be really fun. When we counter a spell, activated or triggered ability, its controller will lose life equal to the amount of creatures we control. Most damage I ever did with this was 23. I just had 23 zombies, someone activated their Kiki Jiki, countered the activated ability, and I did 23 damage to that opponent, making them lose the game instantly. Really fun card, your playgroup will never see this coming. Lethal Scheme, a 4 mana instant speed removal spell with Convoke. Convoke means we can actually tap creatures to pay for the mana cost of this spell. When it resolves, we get to destroy target creature or planeswalker, and each creature we use to convoke this spell gets to connive. Connive means we get to loot, so draw a card, discard a card. If we discard a non-land card, the creature will also get +1/+1. This card is especially good with Temmet on the field, since Connive will trigger Temmet and we will get to give our zombies an additional boost to their power and toughness. Really underrated card. The last card in our interaction section is Archfiend of Ifnir. It's a 5 mana, 5/4 flying body with cycling 2, meaning for 2 mana we can discard this to draw a new card. So we can use it to cycle it on instant speed when we attack with Temmet on the field to just boost our zombies. Whenever it's on the battlefield and we cycle or discard a card, every creature our opponents control will get a -1/-1 counter. This is just fantastic with all the cards we play in the deck. Our commander draws and discards cards, we play a ton of loot effects. End of turn we'll be drawing that many cards, so we will have to discard at end of turn. This will also trigger Archfiend of Ifnir, and we play some Cycle lands, which will also trigger his ability. Just a fantastic inclusion in the deck, even though it's not a zombie. Last up we have the lands. As mentioned, we are on a 150 euro budget, so we don't play any fetches or shock lands. That being said, we play some really awesome lands and the mana base works just fine on a budget. Accursed Dunyard. Taps for a colorless mana, and for 2 mana and tapping it, we get to regenerate a zombie we control. Fantastic land, a really good way to protect our commander. Cephalid Coliseum. For the cost of 1 life, we can tap it for a blue mana. When we have Threshold, meaning we have 7 or more cards in our graveyard, we can sacrifice it to draw 3 cards, discard 3 cards. Later in the game, we will always have Threshold active, and this card with Temmet on the field just means we can sacrifice to give all our zombies plus 3/3. Horizon of Progress. If we tap it and pay 1 life, it produces mana of any type we could already produce. Perfect for a 3-color deck. For 3 mana and tapping it, we can also put a land from our hand onto the battlefield, meaning we can accelerate our mana later in the game. If we pay 1 mana and tap it, we can also sacrifice it to draw a card, just granting us card advantage in the late game or boosting our zombies with Temmet on the field. Path of Ancestry. It does enter tapped, but it generates us 1 of our 3 colors. When we use that mana to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with our commander, we get to scry 1. We play a ton of zombies, Temmet is a zombie, this card will trigger a lot. Scrying is actually really useful, just scrying to the bottom the cards we don't need at that time in the game. Secluded Courtyard. Taps for a colorless mana. Whenever it enters the battlefield, we also get to choose a creature type. We can also tap it to generate 1 mana of any color, but we can only use it to cast creatures of the chosen card type or activate abilities of the chosen card type. A very good card in a tribal deck if you're on a budget. Unholy Grotto. Taps for a colorless mana, and for 1 black mana and tapping it, we can put a zombie from our graveyard on top of our deck. Fantastic recursion card. Vault of the Archangel. For 4 mana and tapping it, we can give all our creatures a lifelink and death touch until the end of turn. As you saw, a ton of cards in this deck actually use life as a resource, so the lifelink might be really relevant. And the death touch can just surprise opponents if they don't know you have this land lying around. You can just swing, they will declare blockers, give everything death touch, and you will win in combat every single time. Command Tower, Arcane Sanctum, Exotic Orchard, 3 check lands, 3 scry lands, 3 cycling lands. These are actually fantastic with Temmet to just cycle and boost our zombies. 3 Pain lands, 2 of the Tainted lands, River of Tears, 1 Plains, 3 islands, and 6 swamps. That's it for my Temmet Naktamun's Will in-depth commander deck tech. It's the first tribal deck I've ever made for the channel and I'm really in love with it. I just love zombies. If you like tribal decks, hit the like button, hit subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you get notified when I upload new videos. Share this video with your entire family so they know what deck you'll be building next. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.